Yay. Right. I think we're on. Okay. Sorry about the delay, folks. Technical difficulties. YouTube said live wasn't available. So a bit of reloading. We're back. So it's telling me there's 6 of you here. Can someone just drop me a quick message? Let me know that you can hear okay. I've got a little green bar flashing along the bottom that says everyone can hear me. So that should be good. Unless, of course, all 5 of you watching now. So someone's got bored already and left. Oh, there we are. Thank you, Ian. So thank you very much. So yes, guys, those of you that are here, if you can't send me a message, it's because you're not a subscriber, because if you can't be bothered to subscribe, I can't be bothered to answer any of your questions. So I have switched on a new feature that says only subscribers can ask me questions, and you've got to have been a subscriber for 5 minutes. So if you want to ask a question, you're not a subscriber, then I suggest you subscribe now, and then in 5 minutes time you can ask me a question. So there we are. That's new rules that we're playing with. So it's all good. So a quick update. I did say I would have Ian here if at all possible. Unfortunately, family duties has required him to be at home. However, he is warm apple down in the chat. So if you do want to ask any questions and Ian can type a reply to it, if it's specifically for Ian, then I'm sure he will do. He's nice like that. So it's all good. So how today is going to go, guys, for the people that are there, hello, Jurassic Diver, is I am going to go through some comments and stuff that I've had on the Facebook and the Instagram as well. So some comments that have sort of caught my eye and some things I'll probably want to expand on a little bit. So I'm going to do that first before I come to the chat and answer any questions, if there are any that have popped up there. I don't expect this to go on for particularly long, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so there we are. One thing I would like to get out right from the start is thank you very, very much to everybody who sent me well wishes. It's really touched my heart and been really well appreciated. So thank you very much for that. For those that keep wishing me a speedy recovery, good news for you, I'm recovered. It's all done. We're all there, and I'm 3 weeks into the 6-week countdown before I can dive again. But the only dive I'm probably going to get in before I fly off to Egypt and go do some diving there is probably a pool dive. But anyway, so it is what it is. But thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate the love that's been coming out across all platforms. So whether you're a Facebook or an Instagram or a YouTuber, then yeah, thanks for reaching out and yeah, saying that I'm glad I'm doing well. So first things first, a few comments that come through on the video, as I would have expected, to be honest with you. So I've not been through them all. I've got to be honest. I'm normally pretty good at replying to comments on videos, but this one, I don't know. Again, we said in the video, we're just a bit bored of it, and I am really bored of it now. It's kind of been and done. So just want to wrap it up with this, to be honest with you. But well, some of the comments. So a friend of mine I've not met, Clyde Dive, he is, and if you've not seen his channel, you really, really should. Because if you want to know about UK critters and plants and stuff, he's really, really good. He's super knowledgeable on it. I've learned actually loads from just watching his videos, but he doesn't get the love he deserves. So head over to his channel, Dive Clyde it is, and he does he's narrated videos. So he goes diving up in the Scottish lochs, and he's got one of those full face masks on, and he actually does a narration on it, and he'll say, "Oh, it's one of them," or "Oh, it's one of them." So really, really good. But he did point out the fact, and I agree with him in principle, that what's the use in being O2 trained to deliver O2 if you've not got a kit with you, and why didn't we have a kit with us? And that's a really sort of valid question, to be honest with you. And I want to give the response that I sort of give to him. So you see it down in the comments that I guess in this instance we could have had O2. I mean, we couldn't have, and I'll tell you why that in a minute. Brexit, fabulous. But the principle is should we carry O2 with us? Well, yes, ideally we would. But when we bought our Marinox kit, what, 4 years ago now, and I only know that because it's coming up for test, that was getting on for nearly 900 quid, which is quite an exceptionally expensive bit of kit, you know what I mean? Apart from dry suits, and if you want to go for a really, really flash computer, that's quite expensive. That's one of the more. So I think from a practical and sort of real point of view, are people going to do that? No, it's not. And I'm certainly not spending 900 quid to carry O2. And I had a bad bend. I don't think it's realistic. I mean, take your club set if you want. But again, that's only going to be in like one person's car. And if you sometimes like, when I do like training sessions, you've kind of got people buzzing in from everywhere. I think the expectation to have, everybody to have an O2 kit for the drive home is probably a bit much. In principle, mate, I absolutely agree with you. It would have been very, very handy to have O2 on site. It wasn't something that occurred to us to do. I've been to Cape Henry 1,000 times and never took O2 with me because the dive centre has it. It's the same as if you go on a hard boat. I don't take a O2 cylinder there because, well, they've got it. Do you know what I mean? So perhaps it's worth thinking about because, this did happen so long after the dive, and we're certainly on the way home. And even on a hard boat, 2 hours, I'd have been well on my way home like that. But I just think it's quite cost prohibitive. Now, when I did pull over to the side of the motorway, I wasn't in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? I was on the ring road from Manchester, and it still took the ambulance service like 2 hours to get to me. I think rather than spend £1,000, I think I'd rather pay an extra penny on income tax and fund the NHS properly. I mean, according to Boris's bullshit bus, the NHS should be owed about 58 bazillion pounds by now, isn't it? So anyway, it's what it is. I would much rather an ambulance have been able to get to me quicker because they got gallons of O2. I understand if you're diving in the arse end of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? If you're in Kinloch Burby or something like that, then you've got to accept those are the risks, those are the play. But the Manchester Ring Road, no, I would expect, in an emergency situation, like I say, if I was having a heart attack or a stroke or something, more serious than this, I'd have been dead probably by the time they got to me. So it's just. I think it's just the state of the country that we're in. So I'd much rather that, to be honest with you, than spending. Ian's been Googling already. £1,104.60 for the Mariners kit now. Like I said, an expensive bit of kit, which is why it tends to be only clubs that can afford that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly read the comments. Ellen, want capers or Delft dive with us instead of the pool? I'd love to, Ellen, but unfortunately, I'm not UK diving this year. Dry stick's too big, it's full of leaks, and I'm not spending any money getting it fixed because it doesn't fit anymore. So I'm 5 stone plus down since my biggest when I had the suit made, and it just doesn't fit. So I'm taking this year off UK diving. I've said before, perhaps only in a live stream, but I have said before. And I'm going to go and do some holiday jolly diving for a year. So yeah, 2024 is UKDiver on tour. Ian, a warm apple, keeps trying to tempt me with trips, and they are very, very tempting. But yeah, it's just I'm just taking. There's a few reasons. There's a lot going on in my personal life as well, or maybe going on in personal life. Nothing bad, just the usual sort of domestic shite. And we can sit and have a chat about it because I know we're meeting up at the dive, aren't we, Ellen? So you can ask me all the questions there. We'll have a long chew of the fat on it rather than bore everybody out. Scuba Life, hello, pal. You all right, mate? I think that's Matt, if I'm right. I'm pretty sure that's Matt. Hi, Matt. Good to see you here, mate. So anyway, talking of fat and losing weight, another friend of mine, V. Vajalis, basically is going to get a slap next time I see him because he reached out on I think it was on Facebook and said, is it because you're fat? And I guess that's a fair question, isn't it? Do fat people, are they more prone to getting bent? I don't know because I'm not a DCI expert, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in these things. All I can say is, as I've just said, I was 24 stone something, 18 months ago. And I'm sort of 17 and a half now as of when I got bent. So read into that what you will. So actually fatter makes you safer because I never got a bend when I was really fat, and now I'm skinny down a little bit. I've got a bend. I don't know. It's a good question, and I honestly don't know. But yeah, thanks for the support with the weight loss there, V. Bastard. So seriously, it's all cool. So it is. I guess it's a valid question, isn't it? I guess, and it's the same as fitness. I was diving before, 24 stone, unfit, barely carry twin sets across. I'm running up and down mountains. I've literally done 6 miles a day and done half a kilometre in elevation, and I'm feeling a lot fitter than I was before. And it's just kind of ironic that I get a bend when I've lost a load of weight, and I'm feeling a lot fitter than I've sort of ever felt in the last sort of, well, since I started diving, so probably 15 years or more, to be honest with you. I just don't know. I don't know. As expected, really, we also had a few comments going on about deco. Okay, I was in deco and I didn't do my deco and I didn't do my safety stuff. Okay, I kind of want to say I dropped that into that video as kind of a red herring. It wasn't really a red herring because it was true. I did go a smidge into deco as my dive computer's set, okay? And this is the issue I've got with all the people that have been commenting about all the deco. 4 of us diving, 4 dive computers, all different. Mine was the only one that went into deco. Why do you think that is? Write a comment down below if you know. But I'm going to tell you in a second anyway. It's because I dive a more conservative profile than all them 3 other idiots I was diving with on the day. I love them though, I do. So, I mean, in all seriousness, I've got an OSTC Sport and I have it set on gradient factors, okay? You like gradient factors? It gives me a bit of conservatism that I like, I appreciate. So it does tell me that I'm into deco a bit earlier than other dive computers. So, Ian, what you got, Ian? You've got a Garmin something or other. Put a comment down below so everybody knows what you've got. But he's got one of them little flash Garmin things that are even more expensive than the Apple Watch Ultra, just so you know. Kev was diving a Sunto Eon Steel. I don't know if it was the new black version. I didn't really pay much of that attention to it, but I knew it was a steel. And then as far as I could see, Sean had just got some kind of, recreational dive computer. None of them went into deco, okay? And this is something that I try and tell my students, okay, and it's pretty important. Your dive computer is a toy, okay? It's a gadget. It's a guide at best, okay? All the dive programs in dive computers work on the average human being, okay? Do I look average to you? And I don't mean that in like a Big Eddie kind of way. I'm not bloody average. I'm 17 and a bit stone. I'm quite unhealthy. So you put me next to, young Matt down here that's asking a question I'll get to. And, we're 2 totally different people. Ian's like 6'2" and, quite stocky build, but he's not fat like me. You know what I mean? Yet when we dive computers, we could all wear the same dive computer and it will give us all exactly the same dive profile in case our, even though our physiology is entirely different. The other thing is your dive computer is an aid, okay? And the brain is in here. So I was doing 2 recreational dives at 17 meters, yeah? I've done recreational dives at 17 meters for an hour in Cape and Ray since I started diving just about, or certainly when my SAC rate allowed me to. I have been in twin sets with air doing the full edge circle. I've done it clockwise. I've done it counterclockwise. I've done longer dives in there and not had deco on my computer. So get a grip, people, okay? It went into deco because I told it I wanted to run a more conservative profile. When I got out, the deco was gone. If I'd still required deco, I probably would have done it, but I know in my head that it's going into deco because I've set it more conservatively. And if I decide I don't want to do that, then I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be dictated to by a dive computer that I've programmed, if that makes sense. Now, Ian's got, here's what we put down here. Ian, we've got a Garmin Mark II, and he's diving at 4085. See, suicide level. He's literally got it on suicide mode. I dive a 5080. So more conservative. So that's why he didn't go into deco, and mine did. So I think everybody getting the knickers into twist about deco needs to understand when deco works, okay? And when you've got a computer that you can set your own gradient factors, it's you putting in your conservative level. But if you've set it conservative, then you can say, right, you know what, it's 2 minutes worth of deco. I'm not bothered about it because I know it's only come with 2 minutes worth of deco because I've set it to do that. So it was a recreational dive, okay? It was a technical dive computer. I haven't got another dive. Well, I have now, but it doesn't work, so I've not downloaded the app because it's very expensive. I'm only going to put it by the month. But that's the dive computer that I've got. And I didn't bother resetting it. And I was clear of deco anyway. Okay. So, yeah. I'm sorry for all you getting your knickers in a twist about, oh, you missed deco. I didn't miss deco. Did not miss deco. Even set as conservative as it was, I didn't miss deco. I missed the safety stop and probably about 2 minutes of the safety stop. Because like I say, I did turn around and hang around there for a minute, waiting for everybody to come up and then discovering that Sean was missing from the group. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't think that was anything to do with it. I had 3.5 hours out of water. And even if it was that, if you think about it, I went and recompressed it on the second dive. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Okay. So we might have to agree to disagree on that, but I don't think that was anything to do with it. So don't get excited about the deco. That's that. Another thing I've been asked a couple of times, and I'm glad I've been asked about it because it's educated me again, is could it be a PFO and was I tested for it? And I guess the answer is yes, it could be a PFO. Was I tested for it? No. So I guess that leads on to the next one. Am I going to be tested for it? And the answer is no, I'm not. For the simple reason is if you're diagnosed with a PFO, you then have to have all these restrictions on your diving. But if you're not diagnosed, even if you suspect you are, then you're not diagnosed, and therefore there's no issues with insurance. There's no issues for diving. I keep ticking all those little boxes. Yes. Now, some may say, well, that's irresponsible. Maybe. But I wasn't advised by the doctor to be checked for a PFO. It's not like they said, oh, you need to go and have a PFO, the bubble check thing and exam. In fact, it was not mentioned at all ever. It's only been mentioned in people that have commented. So if they thought I needed it, they probably would. But they didn't, and therefore I haven't, and I have no intention of, to be honest with you. Now, I say that more based on sort of history from 6-7 years ago, and somebody that I know, in fact, a couple of people that I know had bends. I wouldn't say minor bends, but normal bends, not blow your ear out bends. And they had tests, and they were found to have PFOs. And there was restrictions put on their diving. It ended the diving career of one. In fact, there's a guy who's commented on the video today who unfortunately has had a PFO and he's given up the diving. And I would say to you, sir, don't, because a good friend I've bumped into at the dive show has gave me a fantastic bit of news that I didn't know. And this is it. We're always learning. Things are always, always changing. But, so I'm just getting back to the post so I can read it to you. But yeah, if you go have a look at the Facebook, Nick Mackin, and I apologize if I said your name wrong there. So he was the one that says, he had a bend about 12 years ago. Turns out he had a PFO. And have they suggest that you're tested for it? No, they didn't suggest I was tested for it, Nick. I'm not going to volunteer for that, to be honest with you, based on the information that these people, one of the people that got bent, paid out an extraordinarily eye-watering amount of money to go have it fixed privately. Now, when I say, a lot of money, I'm talking like, a superb house deposit kind of money to go and do it, which I just couldn't fund that. So I wouldn't want to do that. However, Jackie, who I've met a few, she's a long-time subscriber. She got bent in Malta last year. Again, I'm not saying anything out of turn here. It's on a public forum, so you can check it out yourself. So she's got Malta in last year. She had lots of time in the pot. Doc suspected PFO. She had the bubble echo test, and she had a grade 4 PFO. I don't know what that means. Is grade 1 worse or grade 4 worse? I don't know. I'm going to look into it, but I don't know at the moment. And now she's waiting for the op on the NHS. Now, the reason I say sort of 7 years ago, and because like I say, this chap that I knew had it private because the NHS at the time weren't funding the operation, because the NHS doesn't pay a lot of money for you to go and do a sport when you can just not do that sport and it doesn't bother you. Okay, or that was the thinking at the time. A PFO. What did they say? Up to a third of the people have it in some form or another. Some severity. and a third of people aren't dying because of it. Now, there was suspicion that a PFO also increased your risk of stroke. So once I saw that off Jackie, I was like, well, that's changed because, last time a friend of mine, needed it doing, he had to pay private and a lot of money to pay private. So I did a bit of Googling, literally Googling, like 30 seconds, like, does the NHS fix PFOs? And apparently back in 2019, they finally accepted the evidence that PFO does lead to a higher risk of stroke. Okay, so they're not fixing it for you because you're a scuba diver. They're fixing it for you because you're at a much higher risk of suffering a stroke with a PFO than without. And it does look like now that they are fixing it. It says on their little blurb it cost them about $8,000. So why my friend paid 4 times as much as that and then some change to have it done privately begs the question. But yeah, so it does look like PFO is not maybe the career-ending diagnosis than it once was. I mean, you might have to wait on the NHS for 18 months to get it done like you do for anything, but it does look like it's actually back on the menu, which is really good. Even if it's for the wrong reasons, it is good. So I think now, if a doctor said we probably need to check you for a PFO, I think I'd be a bit more comfortable with it. Do you know what I mean? With having it done, knowing it could be fixed without me literally having to sell other body organs to get it done. So I think that's a really interesting thing, and I think people need to not worry about going for these tests quite so much. Because again, quite frankly, would I have it done if I suspected it needed doing, if I couldn't get it fixed? Probably not. Well, that's irresponsible, Andy. You could die. Yeah, but I'd be dying doing something that I love, though, wouldn't it? So that's kind of my, take on it, kind of thing. And again, that's everyone's personal choice. But yeah, so that's changed. So was I diagnosed with a PFO? No. Was I asked to check? No, is the simple answer to that one. So they were kind of all the kind of questions that sort of I thought were worth answering off some of the media. Everyone was pretty supportive, to be honest with you. It is nice to be back fully functioning. I said that in the end of the video. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, the world has stopped spinning and everything is back to normal from that regard anyway. So that was all good. So has anybody got any more questions on the live stream? So I think Matt's asking one. Was you hydrated on the day of your bend? It's been proven light workout 24 hours. It's been proven a light workout 24 hours before your dive helps. That's interesting. Was I hydrated? I guess so. I was as hydrated as I've ever been. We stopped into. I normally leave. So this is my normal routine for going to Capering. Okay, and we've been doing it forever. I normally leave the house with a cup of coffee. I've normally had a glass of water before. The hour and a half drive, we go over to a little place. I don't know if you know it, if you've ever been to Capering. If you go, once you come off the. Is it the M6? You come off the M6, don't you? Then you turn right to Capering. Well, if you turn left and go down the hill, there's a truckers cafe called Truck Haven, and they do a fabulous breakfast called the King of the Road for like $6.99 or something. That includes toast, 7 or 8 items. I can't remember, but it's a good breakfast, and you get a cup of coffee. So I'd add another cup of coffee. So I'd add a glass of water, 2 cups of coffee. Now I know coffee is not particularly hydrating because of all the caffeine, but it hydrates me enough because I need to go for a pee by the time I get to Capering. So yeah, there's normally a pee, kit up, and then go get the first dive. After the first dive, it's up to the coffee shop where I normally get a cup of coffee and either a glass of Ribena, because they do glasses of Ribena up there, which is quite nice, or a bottle of Coke, Diet Coke. And have that because you normally get dry mouth, don't you, especially if you're on open circuit. So I chugged the cold drink and then sup the coffee with a bit of cake, because why wouldn't you? And then probably we went down to and did the second dive. And again on the way home, as I said in the video, stopped in Lancaster Services and picked another cup of coffee up. So I don't know if that's hydrated or not. It's kind of my normal routine. I don't really do too much. Well, I'll probably drink less on a day-to-day, you know, by the time in the morning, because you don't eat a like full cooked breakfast every day, do you, with a cup of coffee and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know, you know, and hydration is one of those weird things now, isn't it? Because where do you go with it? So if you're underhydrated, you're going to get DCI, you're going to have a bend. But now they're saying if you overhydrate, well, you're going to die of IPO, immersion pulmonary edema. So that can be caused by overhydration. So I don't know where the happy middle is, to be honest with you. I've never had a bend before, and I've not had an IPO. So I was kind of thinking I was probably, you know, somewhere in the right bracket, I guess. I don't know. What do you do? Are you, Matt, are you one of these like chug a litre of water before you go kind of guys? I mean, I certainly know people that do that. I know people that do like a little yoga session before they get in as well. That always makes me chuckle. As for the light workout 24 hours before, I've not heard that before. I think everyone's probably familiar with the don't do a great deal after you've had a dive. Which often doesn't work, does it? Because like I don't know if you've ever dove Malta, or those that dove Malta, you know, it's a big rock in the Med, and it's all steep. So it's all shore dives. You go in, you know, you do your dive, you fin out a bit, and then you come out, and the truck's up the fucking hill up here somewhere. So you've got no choice. So I do tend to dive it always on nitrox, because, you know, it all tends to be pretty deep diving off Malta. I say deep diving, deep recreational diving is what I should say. You know, it's all kind of 30, 35 meters, 40 meters. So, you know, you dive in a half decent nitrox blend. So when I'm going up the hill, I do have me ragging my mouth to try and give me an extra O2 boost to get me up the hill. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, you do. I know you drink coffee, mate. I think I've bought you one. But yeah, so I honestly don't know, mate, where this, like, because like I say, the latest sort of fluff, certainly that BSAC is pushing out, is that, you know, don't overhydrate because it really increases your risk of IPO. So these, you know, chug a litre of bottle water of a litre bottle of water before you go into the dive lot. You probably shouldn't be doing that either. So I think it's a bit confusing. I think, you know, I don't know how you measure it. You know, how do you measure your own hydration on the day? You know, peeing like it's, you know, bright yellow is I know is not good. But, you know, none of us wants to get halfway through a dive and then be busting for the loo, do we? Even those of us with a P valve are not particularly keen on using it if we don't have to, kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know where the answer is. So would I say I was hydrated? Yeah. I had to have a pee before I went diving. That's normal, like both times, you know, go and relieve yourself, don't you, before you get in the water. Don't know. That's about it. I can't say any more than that, to be honest with you. Right, what else we got? So, Ian's, you've been watching my yoga sessions. I've heard about your yoga sessions, mate, and how horrified the world is to see you in spandex, and I don't want to see that. Thank you very much. So, no, but yeah, so I did go diving with a load of gooey divers. I've never had the pleasure, particularly, to have dove with before or since. And yeah, they were at the side of the van doing all these calf stretches and all this kind of stuff, you know, to stretch the muscles out, which again, it's probably not a bad idea, to be honest with you. But in a dry suit, it doesn't seem to make much sense to me at all. So, there we are. So any more questions, guys? Or has anybody got anything for Ian? He is on. There is 14 of you. Come on. So surely somebody's got something, because if not, I am going to wrap this up on Sunday night. So, Joan, interesting what you're saying in regards to the overhydration. For my instructors, we've always been urged to drink loads of water. Yeah, and that. So, I don't know what your name is, Juno. Okay, that's what I'm going to call you from now on. I hope it's not too offensive. But yeah, that was always the thing, wasn't it? It was hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. You know, you don't want to be dehydrated because, you know, you're going to get bent, kind of thing. So drink lots, drink lots, drink lots. And all the divers went, arse to that because it just means we've got to be peeing every 5 minutes. You know, it was one of those things, but that was the advice. But like I say, the latest thing, I don't know, just put in the comments, do you know, what agency are you with, just out of curiosity, because I'd be interested to know that. Because BSAC, who love a bit of death to BSAC, we do love knowing every possible way that diving can kill you, and absolutely terrify students by telling them literally all about it in the blood and gore. It is quite deathy, BSAC. So obviously, you know, they've the latest killer is immersion pulmonary edema, that was thought to be quite rare, but now they're actually starting to think it's a little bit more common. And the reason for that is, so, and again, I'm not an expert on this, guys. I've been talking to the people that have been doing the research, but as far as I understand it, okay, around your lungs is a membrane, okay, that keeps all the fluid and goo from getting into your lung cavity and sort of flooding your lungs. Now, an IPO, this membrane gives up, okay, and water and fluid, I guess, leaks into the lung space, which that's what slowly suffocates you, because your lungs can't expand and expand and expand and expand, you know, as you're breathing. So you kind of suffocate from the inside, which sounds horrific. And that's why you get these symptoms of, you know, they'll say that they're out of air when they're not out of air. You know, they've got plenty of gas. You'll give them your bailout, or, you know, your Octo or whatever. They take that, they take a couple of breaths out, and then they'll chuck that away as well. And it's this feeling of breathlessness, and they don't understand that it's not the equipment that's failing, but themselves that's failing. And it's quite nasty, because first aid does bugger all for it. The only way to get it, you know, sorted is you have to pop a hole in the, you know, in your chest here and basically hoover it out. Well, you know, you're not going to do that as a diver's first aid, are you? And it's quite time critical. So they reckon it's actually quite nasty. Now, the reason they didn't think that a lot of people, you know, I make that sound terrible. The reason they didn't think it was as prevalent as it was is that when you sadly pass away, whenever that may be, this membrane gives up anyway. So when they do an autopsy on you, your lung cavity is going to have a load of fluid in it. So it's not unusual to see that, so to speak. So they were just like sort of missing it, because it was like, well, yeah, nothing there. So, you know, we can't see any other reason. We'll put it down to heart attack, and that was it. But for now, I don't know how they've worked it out, or what, you know, again, you'd have to do your, excuse me, research on that. Time for a slurp. But yeah, now they've actually started finding that perhaps a few more of these cardiac events in divers aren't cardiac events at all, and actually are this, you know, immersion pulmonary edema. And one of the things that they've said really increases the risk is if you've got fluid moving into the lung capacity, if you're really, really well hydrated or overhydrated, that can increase the risk, because there's more pressure from the gooey bits. 1 second, I've got a friend sending me messages on WhatsApp. Bugger off. What I was saying, oh yeah, so you've got more pressure from the outside, from the gooey bits, wanting to get into the non, you know, into the airspace, so to speak. So that's it, as much as, you know, so we've been briefed on it as instructors to then brief out to the students about yet another way that scuba diving can kill you. Yeah, but quite interesting, and it's sort of the top topic at the moment. So yes, don't go chugging lots of water, because although you may have a fabulous dive with no DCI, you might actually just suffocate yourself from the inside, which frankly sounds worse, I'll be honest with you. So I'll be urging on the side of caution, to be honest with you. So there we are. Right, any more for any more? Before we disappear off, or is that it? Are we happy that it's all done? Silence is golden. Warm up. Right, that's it then, guys. We have done with it. So just a bit of a public service announcement. I am going to both days of the dive show this weekend. this year, which is in a few weekends and beginning of March time, something like that. Just so you know, any BSAC divers out there, you do get like a 50% discount, or maybe even more, 50-60% discount. The ticket's a tenner anyway, instead of 25 quid, whatever percentage that works out. Oh, one more thing I do need to know. My mathematics was wrong on the video. Yes, I know that the pressure of oxygen at 18 meters at 100% is only 2.8 bar. That's been pointed out to me a couple of times. Thank you for the people that did that. I'm blaming it on Ben Brain, so that's it. But yeah, so if you're knocking around at the dive show, and if you do see me, then do come and say hello. It'd be very nice to chat with you. But if I am talking to somebody about Caribbean holidays, you'll just have to wait, because I am planning a nice holiday for the beginning of 2025. Like I say, it's UKDiver on tour for the next sort of 18 months. Not quite 18 months, maybe 12 months now, something like that. So yeah, there we are. But that's it, guys. Oh, warm up 8. What's 8? 8 what, Ian? You just put 8. That's random. I don't know. All right, then, guys. That's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you've got any more questions, you should have asked them already. It's too late. But that's it. We're going to get to Egypt in March. I'm going to have some fun with a couple of local dive centres. I was thinking, and again, let me know down in the comments, what do you think? I think I'm pining for a tri dive again. So I think what I'm going to do is go to one of these paddy centres and just book a tri dive. And then I think I'm going to be the best tri dive they've ever taken. I'm going to act like a complete idiot putting the gear together. But then when I get in the water, just going to trim out perfectly, blow the mind. What do you think? Do you think that'd be quite funny to do? Or do you think that's just a bit disrespectful? Or does it matter and you don't care anyway, but you want to see a video on it? That's quite good. But yes, I'm going to take the horizon over to Egypt. I'm going to go and see some pretty critters. And I'm going to see plenty of critters and little tiny stuff. So I'm hoping to get all that done as well. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to some sunshine. And I'm looking forward to getting back in the water and a few dives. Okay, I booked a 10 dive package. A few dives in Egypt will be a nice way to get back into it, won't it? So thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it. Again, thanks for all the love. I am better now, so that's it. We're all good. Jobs are good. And thank you very much. Right, I'm ending it there. Have a fabulous evening and have a cracking week next week. And I will see you all soon. Goodbye.